Hey everybody, Raven here. Hey, I'm going to go through case preparation. I'm going to go start to finish, show the ins and outs of case prep on some 223s, and let's get started. Okay, so here's what we're going to need. We're going to need a caliper. Comes in handy, gotta have it. Neck brush, so you can clean out the necks nice and clean. Primer pocket clean out brush. That'll be put into the handle. So those go together just like so. There we have it. Alrighty. And we've also got our little handy dandy lineman trimmer set up there, and we're also going to use it on the end of the drill today. And then our chamfer deburr tool. That there comes in really handy. Alright. You're also going to need, last but not least, your book, your Bible. Now inside of here, as many of you know, in the 223s we've got three different brands, three different styles. We have the Remington, the 223 Remington. We have the 223 Remington service rifle data, and then we've also got the 5.56 NATO. Okay, all of these, case trim length is 1.750. That's across the board, that's our trim length. So, first thing we're going to do is take all of our cases. We're going to run our caliper up here to 1.750. Alrighty, 1.750, just to make sure that that we are good. Now anything below 1.75 is going to be kept without trimming. This one here, we're at 1.77. That will need to be trimmed. 1.755. That one there will need to be trimmed. So basically we'll just go through this entire bucket and see what needs to be trimmed, what doesn't need to be trimmed, and get them separated, and then start the rest of the process from there. Now one thing that I will mention is, now I have already cleaned and deprimed all of these. They've been through the ultrasonic cleaner. These are clean, the pockets are cleaned out, everything, but we're going to retrim, re-clean everything. But we're going to cycle through these. Now you do want to check these. The next step after this, I'm going to go through and check for cracks. We want to make sure we don't have any cracks in the necks. We want to make sure that they're good solid cases all the way around. No anything. If it looks suspicious, we're going to set it aside and give it a real good go over. Alrighty, so that's that step. We're going to come back here in a second with the next step. Alrighty, well, we've gone through every one of these cases, most of which are needing to be trimmed down. I found very few that weren't needing to be trimmed. So now we move on to the next step. We're going to start doing some trimming. So we take our case, slide it in to the shell holder, crank the bottom down. Did I say Lee on these earlier? I do. These are Lyman, by the way. Just take those, sit it in there, go ahead and crank that up, push it on there, and we're done. You can see that it's done. It's got a nice flat sharp edge around the edge. We'll take care of that in a minute. Now basically just go through this one by one, and until you're completely done. Nope. Make sure you got that tight. That's all. You don't have to sit there and crank on these things. It will cut them down nice and quick and easy. Just buzz them down, slide the piece inside, and you're done. It's just that quick. Alrighty, we're going to go ahead and get these all trimmed up real quick, and we'll be back here in a second. Okay, we're getting down to the last little bit here. I did want to bring up a few things. You will not have to trim your brass every single time that you go out and shoot, okay? Realistically, what happens is you know, there's a lot of us that we scrounge up our brass. We buy brass. Oh, did it again. What have you? The one thing that you gotta realize is that everybody's heads are different on our weapons, and so what you end up with is brass that ends up stretching more in one weapon over another weapon. Once you take your brass and you get this all trimmed down nice and neat, the next time that you know, you take these things out shooting, it is going to stretch a little bit, but it's only going to be stretched to meet the head in your weapon. You can literally go 3-4 times without having to retrim your brass, and so, you know, it's just this is just a nice step. It helps to keep your brass consistent, keeps your rounds consistent in your head, and all in all makes your ammo more accurate. Now, like I said, you won't have to do this every single time. You'll be able to get away with it, you know, after you get this done the first time, 3-4 times down the road. So it's just you know, it's a little bit of a process. Once you get these trimmed up, you're done, and you can continue moving on. You know, here I've done about 150 in a matter of about 15-20 minutes, and so, you know, it's not a lengthy process, but you know, there's a lot of steps involved. So we'll get these finished up here. We'll come back and I'll show you the next step. Well, the next step basically is running your deburring tool. We're going to want to deburr these inside and out so that you have a nice clean neck for these to take the bullets with. And so this is the last one here. Let's buzz this one out real quick. And one thing I do want to show you, when these are actually put in, this goes in and will go into the primer hole. I don't know if you can see that there. That goes in, that pin that's sticking through the bottom there, that's what that goes through. You don't actually go all the way through there. So now we'll get that up out of the way. Set that aside. Now we're just going to reverse the process here. You're going to take your deburr, go ahead and just give a couple whacks on the inside, a couple on the outside, and you're done. And you just continue this process all the way through until you hit the bottom of the bin. Then we'll go to the next process. Some of these are a little tricky every once in a while. They don't want to cooperate. It happens. You don't got to get real carried away with them. You know, you just want to knock the edges off of them so that they're nice and smooth. You don't want anything to hang up your rounds when you come into reloading these. And so that's where we're at for this process. Now, some of you are going to notice that there is something red on my bench. Sitting right here. We've got the Hornady lock and load. Friend of mine owns a shop here locally. He happened to see my video and seen how proud I was of my RCBS equipment. Well, he himself is a Hornady fan, and decided he wanted me to try this out, do a review on it. So most of the reloading that you see here taking place for the next 4, 5, 6 videos are going to be done with the Hornady. And you know, like I told him, it's going to be I'm not going to be really able to compare them. You know, I've got a single stage for my RCBS. I've got a progressive for the Hornady. But you know, all in all, it looks like it's a pretty good piece of equipment. Putting it together wasn't too bad. We'll get into that on one of my next videos here, and we'll go from there. So I'm going to keep finishing this up here real quick, and we'll come back to you with the next step. Okay, so we just finished deburring everything. So now it comes down to the next step. The next step is, of course, going to be running your neck brush. Now, this is a step that you can take or not. It's your choice. For 223s, 556, it's not really that big of a deal. Especially for me, I run mine in an ultrasonic cleaner. That cleans the inside. It also cleans the pockets, the primer pockets. So, you know, if all you're looking to do is just send lead downrange, then heck, you're done right here, and we can move on to the next step. Running an ultrasonic cleaner, they do get relatively clean inside, a heck of a lot cleaner than normal. But basically, when you do clean out your necks, you just run that in there and basically swirl that around. Run your brush in there 3, 4, 5 times. Make sure that it's good and clean, and you're done. You just continue that process all the way through until you hit the other end. And when you're done there, then you're ready for the next step. So that's well, we're going to go ahead and take care of a little bit of this right now, just to show you how that's done. It's very simple. There's no rocket science to it. Just make sure that they're clean. If you're running big caliber 30-06, 30-30s, anything bigger than that, your 338s, you know, what have you, you're going to want to make sure that those things are really clean. You know, impurities inside of your casing, it could mean the difference between a half MOA at 100 yards, plus or minus. Well, if all you're doing is sending lead downfield, that's not going to make a difference. If you're in a competition, that could mean the difference between first place or no place. You know, and that's where it gets down to. The cleaner that your brass is, the less impurities that you have inside of your casings, the better off that your rounds are going to leave the chambers. So that's that step there, and we're going to move on to the next step of this. Now, one thing, 223s, 556, your 308s, all of them, after you have taken and you've gotten to this point, the one thing that you do have to do is you have to run a swagger tool in the. Once you punch the military crimp out, then you're pretty much ready to move on to the very next step, which would be reloading. So let's get the swagger tool all set up and get these things ready to go. Give me a few minutes, I'll be right back. Okay, here's your swagger tool. Basically, this is your punch. This is what's going to take the military crimp out. Just slide that up inside of there. I'm trying to do this with one hand, making it a little difficult. That's alright. Slide that up inside of there. Take your, this basically is an intelligent tool. This just slides right over the top of that. And when you get a casing stuck on top of this, you basically just take that and you push that straight down, and it pops the round right off. Okay, so now we take the actual punch, slide that in, and like I said, I took mine and I set up the Hornady sleeve so that I can use the lock and load pieces, and we'll just pop them right in there. Give her a good tight crank, and there we go. That one there still has the crimp still in it. You see it right there on the very edge. There's like a double line there. This one here, I've already went through and put it through that swagger, and that's gone. So this is how this works. Take that, slide that up a little bit, drop that piece on there. This is going to be kind of an awkward view, but basically you just take your casing, set it right on top of the pen, drive that up, and you be careful running it up inside. Give that a stuff, pop her down. Now you can see that that's been rounded there on the edge, and that military crimp is now gone. Pop another one of these in here. and every once in a while they try to get stuck up inside of there. That basically, I had a little bit of a burr still up inside of there from deburring. So let's make sure we get that out of there. You inspect every single one of them, every step of the way. Okay. So let's send that one back up through there again. And that one worked out. So basically that's all you do to get rid of your military primer, or your, I keep calling it a primer, it's not a primer. And that's all there is to it. Just go ahead and do that throughout all of your brass. Be very careful when you're setting it up inside of that pin that you don't mangle one of the tops, one of your necks. It's real easy to do. And just double check them when you're done. Just like I said, just keep checking your brass, check your necks, check your primer pockets, check your seats, everything. That way, as you get done, that way when you get down to the end of these, you know that every single one of them is done. Sometimes these can be a pain in the tail to get lined up. This is a step that's not going to go fast. You go fast in this step and you're going to damage casings, you'll damage the necks, you won't get your primer seat pushed all the way through where it needs to be. That's pretty much it. As far as this step goes, best I can say is just take your time with every single round, every single casing. Don't get in a rush. You know, this is a hobby that we enjoy. There's nothing that says that we got to rush these things through. See if I can do this here with one hand. Let's take that, set that right there on top of that nipple, run that up. Go to full cam, come back down, and you're done. Okay, now that we've got our swags are all done, now we're going to take and clean out the primer pockets. This is the last step of this process. Just take your primer pocket clean out brush and just stick that in the end of the primer pocket. Give her some spins and you're pretty much done, just about that quick. Now this is just taking out all of that carbon. You just want that all to be gone as much as possible. Yeah, like I said, I use an ultrasonic cleaner on mine, and that gets rid of about 95% of the stuff that's up inside of there. Makes them nice and clean, but there's still a little bit of residue up inside, and we want to get that stuff out of there. And don't want it to be interfering with our primers by no means. To be able to anticipate the primer explosion and how it is going to affect the round itself once it leaves the chamber. So we just clean those up real quick, make them all nice and pretty inside. And after this step, we've only got one more step left, and then these are ready to go. So as you can see, it doesn't take much. They're relatively simple at this point in the game. So we're going to speed this process up here a little bit, and we're going to jump right to the next step here. We're going to use our flash hole clean out. Basically, it's just looks just like a little drill bit. I showed you guys how I use a screwdriver on some of these. Just insert that right in the back, give it a couple twists, make sure that it's round inside, double check it, run a light through it, and what you'll see is a nice round hole. And that's what we want to see. When this is all done, you want that nice and round. And you just go through there and buzz all these through. Make sure you don't have any obstructions whatsoever in there. These tend to get a little, obstructions in there, and you don't want anything in there. You want that to be as perfectly round as possible. Now, doesn't take a whole lot. Every once in a while you come across one that's got a real bad burr in there. You just work it until it's out. You don't want to oblong the holes out, make them any bigger than what they already are. Just go through and make sure that they're round. Other than that, that's pretty much it. That's how we prep a cartridge for reloading. The next step, of course, is going through and starting the reloading process. We're not going to do that today. We're going to do that for another video. If you have any questions, post them in the comment section. I do return answers to all of my comments. If you have something that you would like to see a review on, what have you, get back to me, let me know, and we'll definitely get it out there as soon as we can, if we can find somebody that'll supply us with the items that you're looking for. And yeah, there we have it. So we get these all the way down and clean, and we're down to the last one here. And once again, there we've got a nice hole right there in the center. And that's exactly what you want. Alright everybody, that was the video on cartridge preparation. Whether it's 223, 30-06, 30-30, it doesn't matter. You follow those steps from point A to point B and you will have good cartridges to reload. A dirty cartridge is a bad cartridge. Keep them clean, keep them prepped, keep them ready, and you'll always have good casings to start with. Other than that, if you like us, subscribe. We appreciate it. Share us out there with everybody that you know. If you've got any questions, comments, leave them down below. We'll get back to them. I do answer all of the comments as soon as I possibly can. Other than that, peace.